They say to understand Blender's geometry nodes, you need a programming background. But honestly, I disagree. Even as a complete beginner, you can create cool geometry node systems just by understanding the basics. In this video, I'll show you 3 simple but powerful geometry node setups, explained so clearly that any beginner can follow along. For the first system, we're going to create a sensitive surface, a surface that reacts and pushes inward or outward using a proximity node. Start by adding a cylinder. Go to Modifiers and add a bevel modifier, and adjust it however you like. Press Tab to enter edit mode, move the object along the Z-axis on the world origin. Now add a grid using Shift+A and scale it up based on your scene. Add an ICO sphere and move it slightly upward. This will drive our effect. Open the Geometry Nodes tab, select the grid, and click New. Add an Instance on Points node. Then add a Join Geometry node and connect them like this. Reset the grid scale using Ctrl+A. Scale down the cylinder slightly so the effect looks cleaner. Add an Object Info node, select the cylinder, and connect it to the Instance on Points node. Add another Object Info node, set it to Relative, and select the ICO sphere. Now add a Geometry Proximity node and connect the ICO sphere geometry to it.
Take the output and split it using separate XYZ.
Connect the Z output to a Multiply Math node. Send the result into a Map Range node. Enable Clamp and increase the minimum value to around 9. Connect the output to a Combine XYZ node. Set X and Y to 1.
And connect Z to the scale input of the Instance on Points node.
Now connect the second value of the Multiply node to the group input. This lets us fine-tune the effect later. You can increase the size of the sphere to make the surface reaction stronger. To reverse the effect, simply swap the map range values. Set from minute to 1 and from max to 0.5.
Next, let's create a cool transition from a text object to a 3D object.
Add your text object and your sword model to the scene.
It's recommended that both objects have similar lengths so the transition feels natural.
Reset the scale of both objects. Separate both objects into 2 collections. Then create a third collection called Main and hide the others. Inside the main collection, add a plane. Rotate it 90 degrees on the y-axis and scale it slightly. This plane will act as the transformer for both objects. Add another plane. This will be our Geometry Nodes object. Open Geometry Nodes and click New. Press N and change the group input type to Collection. Add a Collection Info node and set it to Relative. Now add these nodes in order. Realize instances, split edges, scale elements, and set position. Add an Object Info node. Select the action plane and connect its location to a Vector Subtract node. Add a Position node and connect it to the first slot. Send the result into a Dot Product node, then into a Map Range node. Feed this into a Power node and connect the result to the scale of scale elements. Duplicate the Map Range and Power nodes and connect them the same way. Add a Combine XYZ node and connect the power output to Y and Z. Multiply this vector with the normal and connect it to the offset of set position. Add a Capture attribute node between position and subtract. Duplicate the group input and connect it to the dot product to control the transition direction. Set the values exactly as shown in the video. Before finishing, unhide the sword. Enter edit mode and add about 15 cuts. Now finish tuning the values. Duplicate the setup for the second object. Change the collection to text and set the vector to -1. Animate the action plane. Hide it from render, and press play. And there's your smooth object transition. Now let's build a system to distribute balloons inside any mesh. Duplicate your text or object and name it bounds. This will act as the wall for the balloons. Scale it slightly larger. Enable wireframe view from object properties. Select the main object and open geometry nodes. Add mesh to volume, distribute points in volume, instance on points, realize instances, and set position. For the instance, I've created a collection of different colored balloons. Just drag that collection into geometry nodes and set it to relative. Enable separate children and reset children. Connect it to instance on points and enable pick instance. Add a random value node. Minimum 0.7. Maximum 1.05. Now convert both of the text to mesh and reset the scale. Add a remesh modifier to both objects and apply it using Ctrl+A. As you can see, the balloons are overlapping. To fix this, add a merge by distance node. Connect it before the instance on points node and set the value to 2. Expose density, seed, and collection to group input. Select the bounds object and add collision from Physics tab. Now select text object and add cloth modifier. Now set the quality to 10. Set gravity to 0. Enable self-collision and set its quality to 10. Enable pressure and increase it to 50 or 55, based on the size of the balloons. In stiffness, reduce the tension to 4 or 5. Now this step is very important. Select the bounds object and go to Edit mode. Select all faces, press F3, flip normals, and apply it. And we are done with our third geometry node system. You can use this system with almost any object. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment below which geometry system you like the most. Keep experimenting, and I'll see you in the next one.